Skarsgård. Can we start there? Because that's the appeal, right? That's why we bought into it. We buy into any Skarsgård, every Skarsgård. Who would you be your most important Skarsgård? If you're not even favorite, if you're buying into a television show and you found out there's a Skarsgård, who is the Skarsgård you are first?
It's this one. I like this Skarsgård the best.
Above Billy?
Yeah, I like this Skarsgård the best.
I think I'm taking him 2
over Bill.
I think
Billy's number 1.
Yeah, because what he's done has been the most.
Meaning it.
Yeah, well, it and also Barbarian.
Okay.
And also Castle Rock.
Okay.
So his repertoire, his resume is phenomenal.
Well, they do a very good job of a sexual menace.
Yeah, this Skarsgård, what's his first big role that you can remember?
True Blood.
Yeah, which he's also good at. And then he's in Family Ties.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Not Family Ties, the TV show.
I'm not sure.
HBO Family Ties. Succession.
Oh.
Which he is excessively good in.
And he is very good at that, yes.
But even in how phenomenal he's in True Blood, I don't put him as like... He's not level setting.
Him and his sibs do a very good job.
Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, all of them I love. Any of them I see anywhere in anything I'm into. He's 2. He's 2 on my list. He's 1 on your list, and we're in.
They do a very good job of a sexual menace. They bring a lot to the role, and it's interesting to hear him talk in his what I assume to be regular voice, which is very Scandinavian, which is very Kermit the Frog, which is very like full of hesitation. It is not the same sexual energy that you see from True Blood. It is
Question about the Skarsgård. Are they all brothers? Including Alexander. Alexander's Andor, right?
They are brothers and or lovers.
Whoa.
And that's actually where Andor got its name.
The reason I ask is because if one of them's like the dad and the rest of them are sons.
Papa Skarsgård is the dad.
So Alexander Skarsgård is the father.
I don't remember his name.
Alexander's Andor, right?
Yeah. That one.
That's Papa.
That's the dad.
So all of them are sons of his.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he encouraged them to get into acting, or if he did the typical like, "I'm not doing this." It seems like he definitely did.
They encouraged him to get into like geography.
Outside of their Scandinavian nature.
Yeah.
Do they call it the Gulf of Mexico?
In Scandinavia?
Yeah.
No, they call it like the Gulf of Norway or whatever.
Okay. First step.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
Mining
colony?
Yeah. Why don't you do a quick summary
of the first? I'm doing it. Okay. First step. We see our Mr. Skarsgård. He is a security bot, which I love as a good take. I love as a good start. He is standing still. He is hanging out at I assume, the end of a mining colony's turn at that mine. Well, I don't know if they're done with that mine or if that particular set of people are about to leave, but they are very excited. They finished something. They're done. They're going, I assume, quote unquote, home, and they're having a great time. He is standing still. He has figured out how to override his security protocol. He has a couple of daydreams. He's like, I'm going to kill everyone. We get a couple of sweet shots of him going nutso.
Pretending. Yeah.
And then we, of course, find out that's a daydream of the robots. we see a couple buddies of his, and by buddies I mean coworkers who are horrible and awful and try and heat him up. They put a torch to his hand and they're like, look, he can't do anything, which begins my first set of complaints with the show, which is that makes no sense. And we'll get a couple of those as the episode goes on. And then he decides, obviously, he's not going to kill everyone. And so, mostly because he knows that the company will say, oh, that bot went bad. He's a security bot. Did I talk about security bot? Did I say sec bot?
Yeah.
Have I had a few drinks?
Yes and yes.
Okay. He says, if I kill everyone, I will be recycled. I'll be thrown in acid bath. I'll be melted.
Bath, yeah.
I'll be recycled. And they use that shot once or twice. So he says, okay, I'm just going to sit here. We see the moment where he breaks through his security. But he says, I'm just going to continue doing my job. He gets taken home. And he doesn't get another assignment for a while.
And they're doing a lot with these Skarsgård as an actor.
Yes,
because
he's
Skarsgård is supposed to be
all
very
of this.
sexy,
Mm-hmm.
very in control, very what else can I say? But he, in his robot state, is not in control. He wants to pretend that he is X, Y, and Z when he is not. Otherwise, he will be turned into what?
Goo?
A pile of goo?
Basically, a pile of melted
goo from
plastic is essentially what it comes into.
And it is it's a wonderful.
It looks like an action figure that you set on fire as a kid, and it melts too much.
Yes, it is a wonderful
exactly what it looks
inversion of the Skarsgård, which we think to be very sexy, very
Going back to True Blood, which you talked about, he is the opposite of that. He was in control. He was
Yes.
the most powerful. He was the figure of power. He is now not he is the owned property.
And here he is talking in his very Scandinavian accent, very much inversion of that sexy, in control type of mentality.
It's
Here
interesting.
he is. He does not have control. He is unaware of what he will do.
It's interesting that you bring that up because particularly he tries to portray that he's in control, and he tries to portray that he is trying to break through this control of his, which he does, and is obviously very surprised by, which is kind of the like trigger that shows you he's not. But he tries to portray that, but it's very clear that he is not. And even once he breaks through and he's like, I've done it. I'm the fucking Murderbot of all Murderbots. But also I'm going to shrink back into my shell because I'm not in control of anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. He gets sent back to home with the rest of the colonists, I assume. And he is essentially waiting in a conference room when our group of unsung heroes, aka group of idiots, I think that's a common thread to movies and television shows. We have our group of unnormal heroes. They are not your typical heroes. There's no strong character. There's no super intelligent character. They are just a bunch of nerds, hippie nerds.
Just a bunch of dipshits. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're stupid. They're just naive idealists. They are your I believe it's called Sea Shepherd.
Grateful Dead, but not playing music.
Well, you know what the Sea Shepherd is, right? That's that group that goes against Japanese whaling boats.
Mm.
And so they're out there doing their best, but they probably don't 100% know how to operate a boat. So sometimes they're into problems with their $250 million vessel. My point is they are intelligent people who understand the ecosystem, if you will. They are definitely super far on the left spectrum of politics, and they show up at the company and they say, hey, we want to do this mining operation, this scientific. We actually don't know what they're specifically doing, but they are doing, it's science-based. They're doing some research, and the company says, we will lend you the money, but only if you go with a security bot. We're not going to let you just do it on your own. You got to have security because you're an investment to us, and if you all die, then we get nothing.
And what is that security bot going to do?
Well, keep them from dying, I assume.
Whose side is that security bot on?
Theirs. I'm kidding. Obviously, the company's. The security bot belongs to the company. The company lends them security bot. They somehow, I missed this part, but they pick. There's a very advanced bot, and then there's this older bot. The older bot being Skarsgård, and they select Skarsgård. He's hiding, kind of.
Hiding that he is.
Yeah, but he's like hiding in the room. He's like behind another bot. But he's obviously hiding that he doesn't have to follow his own controls anymore. So they pick this bot. They take him. They don't trust him. But he goes on this mission with them. They're super excited about where they go. And I don't know, not day one, but whatever day they're out there exploring, Skarsgård tells us that he spends most of his time watching space television shows, which I think is one of my favorite parts. I think I'm going to be excited to go back on the show and find out how many hours they spend doing the alternate shows. Because they hire, if you want to go with gravitas, other than Skarsgård ourselves, the largest actors are in the alternate TV shows.
Yeah, we haven't talked about those up until now, but they have a big investment.
The biggest actors you see are in the show that is not the show. There's a television show within the show.
Which is kind of fun.
It's super fun, and it's short, obviously, and they probably didn't they probably didn't have to sit around on set for too long. And I assume we'll see more of them, but they probably shot those all in a day. But he is learning things from this. He's watching these things, and if you want to give away my spoiler of what the show's going to be, he's learning to be human. He's learning to be a part of this group, is kind of what he's learning from this thing.
Yeah.
And so he gets a lot of...
What would the opposite be? He's learning to be
more of a robot.
What do you Yeah, he's
what the
learning
fuck are we talking about?
He's learning to be human.
He's learning to be human. He obviously, in his infinitesimal scanners, sees a threat to the two scientists who are working in a hole. He tells them, hey, you should back away from that hole. They say, we're good.
They say,
it's a little weird. It's a little weird that you're watching us. And then he's like, no, seriously, you should get away. And then he's like, oh, no, it's like a legitimate threat. And he jumps down this giant crater and is like, you need to get out of here. A giant centipede, if you will, jumps out, clamps one of the scientists around the ribs, which at point I was like, well, that one's dead.
Chomps him up.
Was not dead, but he fights the centipede for a while, gets eaten by the centipede, realizes the centipede has two heads. That was kind of fun. He's got a big gun. Did he kill the centipede? It retreated, right? I don't think he killed it. He got pretty damn close to killing it, but it retreated. And then he gathers the scientist who's not dead, who's been bitten around the ribs, gathers the other scientist who's in shock, and starts walking them away from the danger, and exhibits some human behaviors, which starts with
an A or a B.
It starts with him taking his helmet off.
Yes, and then we can start to see his various.
Step one, he says, maybe if I show my human face, then this person in shock will reduce themselves from the shock. And he does what anyone teaches you in trauma, which is that you start asking stupid personal questions because they're the easiest to answer, and they shake you out of your concentration on significant other or injury to yourself. In this case, it was an injury to her wife. No. Her wife's on the ship.
No.
To her science friend. But she's freaking out about it, and he starts asking her, "You're going to be okay? How many siblings do you have? What do you do?" Which is all just like trauma questions that you learn when you're doing first aid, which is to get you out of the shock of like staring at a wound or thinking you're going to die or whatever it is that's putting you in shock.
The stakes are lower, but I do this with my children.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you distract them with a question that they have to answer, and off they go. In this situation, it is very interesting to see Skarsgård.
He's not doing it well. He's doing it the way that you would expect a first aid person acting in front of a camera would do it.
There's a lot of...
Does that make sense? Like he's
hesitation to him.
Yep.
There's a lot of...
they're cold reads.
Mm-hmm.
He's reading a script.
The exact opposite of the sexy Skarsgård
Yeah,
we are accustomed to over the past decade of Skarsgård.
Which we're going to climb back to this. I'm going to come back to the piece that I don't believe about this. But if we suspend disbelief and I enjoy this moment. I enjoy this cell because it is a... this reminds me of early Good Place in that you have a fish out of water trying to exist in an ecosystem that they're not a piece of. I don't think it's as good of a cell as The Good Place, but I can still sell it and I can still enjoy it. I can suspend the fact that I don't believe this robot is not doing any robotish things and go, this is still fun. If you put Skarsgård in this and you put this character in this, it's still fun.
Agree.
So he carries them off to the ship. There is not a security... I'm going to call him the security officer for now. He's the whole character in Suicide Squad. He's a good actor. I don't know if I enjoy him yet in this role, but he doesn't like our Skarsgård security bot. Everybody else likes security. Everybody else is on board with security bot. They didn't want a security bot, but now that he's here and he's saved her, they're on board. He is not on board. I mean, he's on board the ship. God damn it. That was such a bad joke.
Yeah.
If I could cut that out, I would, but I'm not going to. I'm too lazy. That was so bad.
He's on board the ship.
It's not even a ship. He's on there, like...
He's on board
he's
the
on
thing.
Board.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay, so he's on board. Not on board with Skarsgård. He is a enhanced individual. He has some scientological advancements to him that allows him to do some things. He's obviously not as advanced as Security Bot. Security Bot mocks him a few times. But he doesn't trust Security Bot. This is where episode 1 kind of ends.
Yeah.
Episode 2 kind of starts. We know that our other character is not dead. We know that the drugs are very good and the morphine it's working. The methamphetamines she's kicking, ready to start the next mission. We know that they want to go explore another hole, which is on kind of the other side of the planet.
Yeah, they're pretty hull forward.
They are. That's science. Would you say science is hull forward?
Science is hull forward. Yes.
I would love to talk. Science is hull forward. I don't.
Yeah.
Science is hull forward. Especially planetary science, hull forward.
Constantly investigating holes. Yes.
I would love to get a collection of science sci-fi television shows and how often it's a hole and they're digging. Because it's a cave or they're digging. It's hole forward. You're right. It's hole forward. I didn't even think about that until just now. Science is hole forward. Especially biological science.
Not a lot of things on the surface, yeah.
Well, you got to dig in. That's science,
Yeah.
right? We're digging in. We're not looking on the surface. Okay. They want to go to the other side of this planet. They know that there is another crew over there. We find out in the episode that crew is dead. We don't know why or who, but that crew is definitely
unalived.
They've been finitoed. They decide to go explore an unmapped area of the planet without the security bot. The unmapped area should be mapped, but it's just kind of a blank area. They don't explain why. And we know that they decide that security bot is a risk, mostly because of our new friend who doesn't trust security bot. And so they go without him. The two people that go are the leader of the group and this biologist, the one that already got bit by the centipede.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not allowed to go collect the samples because she already almost died.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader of the mission goes and does it and has several panic attacks along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then they find out clearly that something is happening near that hole as the centipedes are crawling into that hole and just dying. So we get a near miss with our mission leader. The centipede slides by it. She thinks she's about to die, but it just shoots into the crater and then goes and dies amongst a bunch of other centipede creatures.
Which is bad.
Dual-headed centipede creatures. It's super bad because as much as this centipede creature is a threat, it's not necessarily like a malicious threat.
Yeah.
It's just a creature trying to do its thing. During this time, our Skarsgård has a conversation with the security officer individual, and they kind of have a chess match. I assume the point is that our security guy is starting to slide over to think that our security bot is good. They're not fully sold, which makes sense because it is company property. I'm kind of on our security officer's side at this point. Obviously, from the...
Not a lot of robots have turned...
From the viewership side and knowing that our security bot has broken the protocols.
Just one.
Yeah, from us, we're like, yeah, he's a good guy. Why aren't you trusting the good guy? And it's because most of them are bad guys.
Before, yeah.
If it was any other robot, it would be a bad guy. But this particular one is a good guy, and nothing has proven that otherwise, other than him saving that one person, which any of the other security bots would have done. There's a side plot where the science couple that's married signs some contracts for a threesome with one of the other science officers. That's some good fun. I don't think it means anything yet to the show. It obviously will, but in that second episode, I don't think it has any impact to the episode.
But shout out to my guy getting threesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He signed the contract before he read it. That was a Joe Biden auto sign situation. He was ready to go.
Some days.
Our security officer doesn't rescue the two. The chief officer, the mission leader, probably would have died if the dual-headed centipede was actually going for her. He does sneak in some sly comments about how he probably should have just been let to do his thing. At the end of this all, he goes, I want to go on my perimeter check, which is his version of I want to go for a walk, basically. before I get into more detail, do you want to talk? Is there something I missed on the summary?
No, I think you nailed it.
My only concern so far with this show is that I don't find the robot believable at all. In that he freezes a lot in this like thought process where, especially like the biggest scene to me is when he's getting interrogated by the other security person and he freezes into his response. Like they bring him out, they're like, hey, you don't need to put your security suit on that they're trying to rebuild from the earlier attack. Just come out in a crew suit. And when they say that, he freezes for like, he's like contemplating whether he could put on a crew suit. When, if you're talking zeros and ones as a robot, he can put on the suit or he can't. It would take a split second for him to determine that. When he goes out and they're asking him questions about certain things, he feels very uncomfortable. I don't know where the human response of being uncomfortable would come from if he's literally just like a security bot. Now, we could find out more about that. Like maybe later on we'll find out that he was programmed to have these human emotions, but it definitely seems a little unbelievable and not even in the sense that like he's having emotions, because I could see why something that's created from artificial intelligence would develop emotions, like especially early on when he's just talking about like how he wants to kill dudes because he thinks everyone's an asshole, which makes sense. If you worked as the security bot on a mining colony and everyone just thought you were a piece of machinery and they treated you like shit, you would probably like develop the emotions of I hate them or they're shitty people. I could understand that piece from AI. What I don't understand is the like that he stalls on answering, or he stalls on developing a solution to something. He literally talks several times about like how I can outcompute this guy who has all these pieces, but when somebody asks him a question that sends him into a question or sends him into like a query, he's like frozen by that, when his processing power, if you ask me, should like just whip through that no matter what.
Yeah.
Now I'll suspend it for the show.
That's fair.
That it's not what I haven't conveyed is this is a very light show.
It is. So episode 1 was about a half hour. Episode 2 was about 25 minutes. Episode 3 and going forward is about 22 minutes. This is the same amount of time that Friends,
It's got some brevity.
or Seinfeld, or whatever the fuck that type of show is. So that's the vibes that we are looking at.
Theories. What's next? Episode 3, what happens?
He makes a pie.
Okay.
And he makes a bunch of friends with the pie. He serves the pie up to
It's the best pie.
all of the people that are there.
So they're going to have a pie-eating McFair?
Yeah, and everybody likes the pie. It's episode 3 is very pie forward, would be my guess.
How long do you think before we get to the other colony that is just full of dead people?
Episode 6.
Whoa. I think next step. How long before they actually realize he's not who? Like he's not, like they're already onto it, but when do they go? Like when does he let them onto his secret?
Episode 4.
4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 6 on that one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So you're other colony and or he lets him onto his secret, episode 6. Maybe the same. Is there anything else you want to say about the show?
Yes, there is. There's one thing.
I don't think this is going to be related to the show. I have a feeling. I'm just thinking deeply to myself. I don't think this is going to be related to the show.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
Stay gold.
Okay. Stay gold.